Hello everybody, Dan Keck, FridayNightGlory.com, and the Legacy Broncos just won and advanced on to the next round of playoff tournament here in 5A against the Centennial Spartans. I've got head coach for Legacy, Amie Prater, and we are actually at her alma mater field right now at Kennedale High School, where she was victorious today. Her and the Broncos were victorious 10-5 today. And this is a turf field, and there was a few times in the game where the turf kind of came into play, but the Broncos were able to maintain it. Coach, talk to me about turf field versus grass. Are the girls used to playing on turf or not, and what kind of things come into play with this? And how are they able to do it so well on turf and usually playing on grass? That was awesome.
I'm not a fan of a turf infield, especially. I don't mind, having a turf outfield. That would be something that I wouldn't, I wouldn't mind having. As far as an infield wise, I'm just a traditionalist. I like dirt. I was a catcher. I used to roll around in the dirt back there. So, it just, to me, it's just, it feels like softball when you have dirt out there. And so that's what I prefer. Now, I know the way school districts are going and saving money and things like that. It's just economically, it's
maintenance and everything. Yeah.
It is what it is. If you get a turf field, you got to play on a turf field. You make adjustments. The girls played on turf field last year in the regional semis. We went to Highland Park and played there. It was a different type of turf, but most of them have played on turf before. In advancement, or in advance, whenever we think we're going to play on turf, we'll go out in the football field, and of course it's laid a little bit different, so the ball bounces a little bit more, so they're used to those high hops. I have a really dry infield, so it's a hard infield, so they're used to those high hops too. But we got out here, we got to the field, and the girls took it upon themselves to go and roll each other ground balls and hit each other ground balls just to work on and seeing the angle of the ball. And this is a great field. I was lucky enough to coach here also for 10 years, and the last year I was here, we got the turf field, so I got to coach on it and see how it played with slappers and stuff like that. So I knew coming into it what to expect. But I think the girls handled themselves very well. They made adjustments very, very well. Coming off of last night's loss, which kind of, and I'll take, full responsibility for the fact that we did not come into that game the way that we went into game one. We didn't have that sense of urgency. We didn't have that sense of that anticipation of the game. The girls just kind of, were going through the motions a little bit on Friday, and they were tired, which is to be expected, after an 8-inning game, which was very close, 1-1, and then finally we get to walk off in the 8th inning. And I think we got so high off of that, just the energy and the excitement and all that was building in us that coming off of it was it's hard to come off stuff like that, and that's something that we've learned. We have learned one of those lessons when it comes to competing, that you got to come back the next day. You got to pretend like day one didn't happen. And so we really thought that that given the opportunity, we would take the series. I really believed the girls would come back and on fire. And of course, the situation, Sophie got hurt a little bit on Friday. She got hurt in the game too, and we were unsure of whether she was good or not to go. And she woke up this morning, texted me as soon as she got up early, says she goes, "I'm good, I got this." And I was like, "Can you move around?" And she said, "Yes, ma'am." So we got to our field, and we did some BP in the morning. She as soon as we got there, I sent her to the trainer to reassess her. It's loose, but he said she's good to go, and there's minimal swelling. I think a lot of it, there's a lot of fear because she's not a kid who gets hurt. She's not a kid who wants to be pulled out. And so the anticipation of what could be, I think, really kind of overwhelmed her a little bit last night. But she woke up this morning with a drive and a fire that she was going to finish this game. It was going to be her game.
Good, and that showed in her at bats a few times at least. She hit the ball pretty far, so the fact that she couldn't run very much didn't really matter because she hit the ball very far. And also, the fact that it was turf didn't really matter because your offense came to play and scored so many points that if you slipped around on defense a little bit in the turf, it didn't really matter because you guys answered back with so many runs today. So the Legacy Broncos will head to the regional semis.
Yes, sir.
Next weekend, I believe, against the Colony.
Yes.
So stay tuned for that, people. Thanks for watching FridayNightGlory.com. Head coach Amie Prater with the Legacy Broncos.
Thank you very much.
We're out.